Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I'm wearing one of mine too, but it's Friday the 13th.
Nice. All right. Let's see if I get the pictures ready. I do. All right. Anything you want to cover before we go?
I can't think of anything.
All right.
No, I got a job today, so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, let me shut off my. I'm going to continue to get like 40 or 50 emails a day from either the talccancer.org or Quicken Loans, Quicken Mortgage. I've suddenly gotten an influx of like 40 to 50 a day that go to my regular inbox. So this is what happens when you're looking for a job.
Yeah. Any news we need to cover at all?
I'm having a little issue.
Any news we need to cover?
Nothing I can think of.
All right.
I think I've got everything. I'm getting this message that says low system resources may affect your audio quality. Try closing applications, but I don't have any applications open. So, other than this,
Well, so far you sound fine. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
All right.
As long as I'm fine, that's good for me.
All right. Well, you guys ready then, or you want to cover anything beforehand?
No, I'm good.
Give me 1 second. I want to see if I can finally get my headphones into my Bluetooth.
All right.
Are we going to do it?
Okay, excellent. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
All right. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So you're not going to hear the theme song. Only I will, but I'll let you know when we start. Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. And joining us this week is cousin Jeff, our Jeff Lasseter, who does a lot of our, he's done a lot of our art, and he does a lot of his own art too. Welcome to the program, Jeff.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. Did I just say howdy?
Yeah.
You did.
You in Texas right now?
Y'all, my heart's in Texas. No, I went to Casey's earlier and heard an Iowan speaking like that. So maybe that's what.
Makes sense. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, everyone's a critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. You can listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. Give us a 5-star review and subscribe to the show. If you do give us a 5-star review, we will read your review on the air, and you'll get a copy of I Spit on Your Grave, the 40th anniversary. The next person to do it will, at least. And then patreon.com/criticspod is the best way to support the podcast. And then TeePublic if you want one of our some of our podcast merch, like what I'm wearing today, and a long time ago inside joke that we don't reference anymore, regarding our former co-hosts wondering what gives with Cameron Diaz always showing her shoulders off. Along with other things, a lot of Willem Dafoe stuff as well. Or you can check out, where can they get your stuff, Jeff?
You can actually go to my link tree to get any of my stuff on TeePublic or Etsy. It's linktr.ee/Jeff Lasseter, JEFFLASSITER.
Excellent. Lots of great stuff there, especially if you're into horror or the Golden Girls. And Star Wars stuff too. All right, let's jump into the episode. And I hit the wrong button. Share screen. Where did everything go?
Do we have to restart the entire show?
No, we're good. This is adds to the charm.
Okay, that's what they call it now.
Maybe.
That's why when you call Comcast or MediaCom and you say, what's up with my service? They're like, oh, it's just part of the experience, part of the charm of having us as your cable company.
Yeah, I'm just lazy, really is what it comes down to. And speaking of lazy, we've got video game ideas and the movies out of it with Spider-Man and Mark Wahlberg. Is it any good?
Uncharted stars Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg in the adaptation of the PlayStation video game, starring the character Nathan Drake, who's an adventurer who goes around the world looking for treasure. Not the most original concept when it comes to movies. It's been the concept of the movies since the 1930s. What's different about this and what I kind of enjoyed about this is Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland. And what I like about him I'm going to come off like I hate Ryan Reynolds and Chris Pratt these days. I don't hate them, but that style of action movie has gotten so stale so quickly for me. And he is not that. He's not doing a quip every 2 seconds. He's not trying to be, indestructible. He doesn't do karate. He's a character who accepts kind of his size and his abilities and acts accordingly. He's a charming guy who happens to have a really strong wit about him. He's very resourceful, and that's really how this character succeeds. And I know there have been characters like that in movies before, but they weren't played by Tom Holland, who just embodies those qualities extraordinarily well. And he's got a great dynamic with Mark Wahlberg, who's not necessarily playing the most natural Mark Wahlberg kind of role, because Mark Wahlberg, he's not the most quick-witted guy, and here he's kind of playing a James Bond type in some ways, and like the most uncool James Bond in history. It's just not his type of thing, but it works. Their dynamic together works. They've got a good chemistry, the two of them, and that's really what works here. This is directed by Ruben Fleischer, who did the Venom movies and of course did Zombieland. I know I hated Zombieland 2. I still hate Zombieland 2, but he does do this kind of movie very well. He knows how to create a great pace. He knows how to create great set pieces like this. The one of the poster of this plane, Tom Holland's character falling out of a plane. It opens with that, and then we flash back to everything else that led up to that, and then we watch that scene and how it plays out. And it's terrific. It really is. It's kind of a Fast and Furious kind of setup, which I love those movies. I love the silliness, the anti-physics of that movie, and it's kind of got a charm of similar to that here. I like this movie. I went in thinking I was going to hate it, so it definitely had a low bar to get over, but it got over it, and I did enjoy this.
So I was going to ask you like Tom Holland, like you like Vin Diesel in the Fast and Furious movies.
I think Tom Holland's a better actor. Obviously, I think he's much more of a acting presence than Vin. Vin's more of just a personality. He's just Vin Diesel, and that's fine. It works for that movie.
I'd like to see them in a movie together, but probably not the kind of movie that they would show in a theater.
Mark Wahlberg play a meathead in this?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, he was playing kind of a James Bond type, which is kind of not Mark Wahlberg,
Right. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to ask about it, as
Yeah.
I'll probably never see it, and I didn't like the game that much. I'm not really a game guy to begin with. And, how did it do?
It did well enough to lead the box office this weekend. I think they're talking about a sequel. There's certainly a sequel tease after the credits, so they're planning on making this into a thing, and I can see it. I can see it being a thing. I think a lot of people really like Tom Holland.
Fair enough.
I think that, I mean, any movie today, like with a budget like this, they're setting up for sequel, no matter how badly it does. Either if it's a direct video, I mean, look at the movie we're all here to talk about today. That,
Yeah.
you know, if they can do it with that, then definitely Tom Holland has got another franchise, or should I say Tom Holland's ass from this picture that I can't stop looking at.
Does it show his ass in it?
People are just going to turn this episode off the more I talk about it, aren't they?
I mean, I don't know. A lot of our audience is in India, so I'm not really sure what they're into.
Oh. How do Indians feel about Tom Holland's ass?
That's a great question that has not been asked before on this or any show.
I know they like their genre stuff, though. Big fans of our best aired episodes are like the Joker and horror movie stuff. So I'll be sure to put Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the title. Anything else on Uncharted before we move on?
I recommend it. I enjoyed it. It's fun, and check it out.
Like on Netflix, check it out, or like go to the theater right now.
I mean, I liked it on the IMAX a lot, so I like the theatrical experience myself. But I understand if you don't want to, you can wait for this on TV, and it'll be just fine.
Now, you didn't have to pay for it, though. If you had to pay for it, would you pay for it?
No, of course not. What are you talking?
Okay. All right. Strawberry Mansion.
Strawberry Mansion is a movie that is directed and starring a man by the name of Kentucker Audley alongside a guy named Albert Burney. And it follows a guy named James Preble. He's in this universe. They tax everything, including the things that you use in your dreams. Your dreams are recorded on a device, and this guy is in one of many dream auditors. He'll go there and, well, you use this, and this in your dreams, so you get charged this much for it. He gets a call out of the blue from this woman who invites him to come to her house and audit her dreams. The thing about it is, though, she never upgraded to the app. So she has all of her dreams on VHS tapes, and he's got to sit there and watch each individual VHS tape and make notes about what she's supposed to be charged for that. But she's invited him here for a reason. She's invented this thing that allows you to sort of manipulate the way your dreams play out, because secretly, the leadership of this universe is sneaking in advertisements into your dreams, whether you know it or not. Whether it's chicken or cable TV or all these other things, types of soda, they're advertising your dreams, and most people don't know it. And she's figured it out and figured out how to beat it. Inside of her dreams, he meets her as a younger woman, and he develops a relationship with her in the dreams. And he's kind of trying to figure out how he can stay in the dream world with the younger version of her. And meanwhile, the outside world is trying to get inside and stop him from auditing these dreams, and stop her from, preventing advertisements from getting into dreams. I think that's what this movie is about. But this movie is so impenetrable at times in terms of dream logic that it becomes obtuse at a certain point. I love an art movie. I love movies that go for dream logic and have big ideas, but this one just takes it probably one step too far up its own ass, to the point where I lost interest at a certain point. I couldn't follow it. I did like this cast. I do like the young woman especially is very good. The younger version of the older woman is incredibly good, and I really enjoyed her. But beyond that, I don't necessarily recommend this movie. It's certainly not a movie that's for everybody. It's not an easy watch. You've got to really kind of pay attention to see. And I don't think this movie has enough to it to keep people's attention long enough to try and follow wherever the hell it's going.
It sounds like either a Republican's nightmare or a wet dream, depending on how you, between the taxing your dreams or manipulating the tax system.
The scariest part about what you just said, Sean, is the fact that my friend who works at Whole Foods, they have an app that they check in on and check out their shift. And there's always, when they open it up, there's a 30-second ad for something from Amazon. Like right now, it's the Lord of the Rings TV show that they cannot dismiss. You have to watch it for 30 seconds before you punch in or punch out.
Wow.
I don't think I could see this movie knowing that that's actually a thing now.
Yeah,
I'm sick of being advertised to everywhere. So
yeah.
And I mean, we all know it, but you talk about stuff. I mean, even Flickchart, it seems like whenever we talk about a movie, it happens to pop up when we play Flickchart at the end.
Yeah.
Like obscure, not even obscure, but just random 80s movies or something like that. It's like, why are we talking about Over the Top right now? I'm telling you, Over Top's going to be in the Flickchart at the end because I said it.
Oh my God, I get to play Flickchart?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to use the quarter anymore. It's nice.
I know. Just call me George.
But this sounds horrendous. Like I wanted to stop you while you were explaining it. You're kind of boring me.
I wanted to buy in. I really did. Because I think the young woman, Grace Glowicki is the name of the actress. And she was really, really charming on the stuff that she did. But yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people who, if they try to watch this, they're going to turn it off halfway through, just frustrated.
Now, I'm knowing nothing about this movie going into this chat. I'm looking at the image on YouTube right now. Is that Ryan Gosling and Judi Dench?
No, that's Kentucker Audley, and I don't know the name of the older actress off the top of my head.
And that looks like one of the girls from Glee, Heather or something.
That's Grace Glowicki.
Okay, this looks like one of those Ghanaian movie posters. I'm not even joking. So everybody needs to watch this on YouTube to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and just the fact that you started with it's about auto taxing your dreams or whatever. That's just the stupidest starting point. All right, let's move on to Pursuit, starring Emile Hirsch and John Cusack.
Pursuit stars Emile Hirsch as the world's greatest hacker, because that's an original movie character that was never done
Nobody
before.
Nobody says hacking anymore.
What is the term now?
Oh, that's a line from Iron Man 3.
Okay,
Nobody says hacker anymore.
So he's a world's greatest hacker, but somebody has kidnapped his wife and he wants to know who, and he's going to go around shooting people until somebody tells him. He thinks that his dad, played by John Cusack, is involved, but honestly, I don't know if John Cusack knows he's involved. If you told me that John Cusack just let a film crew into his house and didn't know why they were there and they just filmed him surreptitiously, I would believe you, because there are times in this movie where he's just cutting up fruit for a fruit salad. You know, he's making a salad. He's on the phone. I know it's his voice. I recognize him with the dialogue, but honestly, like, he's just sitting in his garden for a little while. Like, this is the laziest Bruce Willis shit we've seen since Bruce Willis. He's not trying, and he doesn't care in the least. At one point, I really thought there's a couple of lines of dialogue where I thought he was actually talking to his agent going, why are these people here in my house? Am I making a movie with these people? It's so sad. The whole thing is sad, though. The acting is atrocious. The trying to understand the plot is just a complete waste of time. Actors are introduced in this movie just at random. Like, two of the big supporting players in this are a couple of guys from the 80s, Andrew Stevens and William Catt, and they both show up just at random, and you don't know which side they're on for a time. And what they too are also, like, I know Andrew Stevens especially is just filming from his house as well, and maybe his car, not actually on set, even though he's also an executive producer on this movie. And Emile Hirsch is just completely off the chain. Like, he does not care at all. He's giving the biggest, loudest performance at times, and at times he's just like, I just like to shoot guns.
Well, you had me at Andrew Stevens because I'm a big Murder, She Wrote fan, and he was on several episodes. So
yeah, there you go. This one's for you. Then. If you want to know what he looks like today,
I'm very, very afraid to do that.
Yeah, Emile Hirsch looks cool. It's the ball.
And how much older is John Cusack than Emil Hirsch? Because I don't feel like there's like he was a teen dad or something.
Cusack's pretty old. He's been around for a while. He made his debut in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet he's 20 or 30 years older than him.
Yeah, I would guess.
Could be. I just feel like Emil Hirsch has been around for a lot longer than he probably has. So.
Yeah, he's only been around since like 2003, 2004.
And even then he was a kid.
He was a kid, yeah. But yeah, this movie is terrible. It is not fun to sit through. Other than kind of other than critiquing the decor of John Cusack's suburban home where this was shot, because clearly this was his house. Clearly those are his grandchildren running around, and he's just like just checked out completely. He makes phone calls. I think at one point his character does get shot, and he's like, "Oh, I've been shot. I'm gonna go drive myself to the hospital. I'll see you guys later."
I have a John Cusack story that I can only tell you off the air, but you'll love it.
All right.
Nobody listens to this except for people in India.
Just in case they hear I'm on it, and it goes up.
I gotcha. You never know when we'll go viral.
Right? That would be it. That would be
right. All right. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Yeah, speaking of things that aren't fun to sit through, Texas Chainsaw Massacre stars no one you recognize other than.
That's not true. Elsie Fisher from 8th grade that everybody loves.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Great. Poor. I feel bad for her in that movie. This is supposedly a direct sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, set 50 some years in the future, where I guess Leatherface got away from everybody and was hiding out at an orphanage being cared for by some older woman. The town that they live in, the entire town apparently gets sold to a bunch of influencers who come to town looking to start a liberal utopia in Texas. And they've got a bus full of people coming who are going to be cannon fodder for Leatherface. So they're going to, they go and they kick him out of his house, not knowing that he's the one who's there. Meanwhile, exposition radio tells us where Sally Hardesty is looking for him via, just whatever. Exposition gas station owner tells us her backstory for no good reason. Everybody just lines up to be victims. Leatherface, cuts off his mom's face and wears it. And it's supposed to be scary, and it's not. And then the whole thing turns on just this whole idea of like liberal influencers and cancel culture, and there's just this horrible, awful scene where all the people are on a bus, and Leatherface gets on the bus with his chainsaw, and they're all pointing cell phone cameras at him, and he goes, and one of the guys looking at him with his camera goes, "Make a move and you're totally canceled, bro." And I just wanted to vomit. It was just so dumb. This is such an ugly, stupid movie, to the point where I can't tell what was intended as a joke, like what was intended as satire and what was intended as like commentary, which is kind of like a lot of right-wing humor where it's just you react to it and that's what the joke is. And as long as you're reacting to it, it doesn't, not necessarily laughing. Like if you're offended by it, that's cool. Or if you're just kind of puzzled by it, that's supposedly funny to people. And I will never understand that kind of humor. And I think that's the kind of humor that's going on here. But honestly, I couldn't tell you because the whole thing is so incomprehensible and stupid. I hate this movie. It'll be probably easily in my top 10 worst of the year by the end of the year.
Yeah, I rarely turn movies off, and I'm such a big fan of the original. I even like the original sequel. But this one was just like watchable, at least for me. And I kind of turned it off early. Like when they broke her wrist, or she was dead, she breaks her wrist and stabs the guy with her broken hand. I was just like, this isn't the same world that the movie should be in. So, and on top of the fact, reading the premise where they're bringing her back to kind of be the Laurie Strode in the new Halloween movies, which I just find lazy. And then, I'm all for, if you want to, we're all liberal. I'm all for making fun of it. Just do it smart. You don't make it bad. There's plenty to rip on for us as well, but that's just dumb. I don't know. But Jeff, what do you think?
Oh, God, where do I start? I'm assuming I'm here because I'm the big cheesy horror fan who laps this kind of stuff up. This is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to me, is one of the weakest franchises. And I know a bunch of my friends are going to give me shit for that because the first one is a classic. It's like in the top 10 list of movies in general. The second one is fun, and it's kind of a satire of the first one and has some inventive kills. You get, it's batshit crazy. The third one, I still have never been able to get through the third one. It's just, I sit there and I'm just like, oh my God, why? It's not good. Nothing looks good. I think they were trying to go gritty, but this is not the series for gritty. I blame this sequel on Jamie Lee Curtis because, I love her. I love, the idea of her coming back for Halloween. I'm not a big fan of most of the stuff in the new Halloween movies. And this movie, it seems like it's just like, oh my God, they did that with Jamie Lee Curtis. We could do that with Sally Hardesty, but Marilyn Burns died, so we'll recast it. Some of the good things, she was really well cast if you're going to do it. Why is she well cast? Because she looks just like Jamie Lee Curtis now with long hair. I don't buy the premise for a second that she's never been able to find him in 40 years, that she's been looking for him for 40 years or 50 years. 50 years later, she's not going to be, she's in her 70s, probably 75 years old. I don't buy that. This needs to have taken place 20 years ago. Same with Leatherface. There's no way he was like 20 years old in that first one. He was 30 to 40 years old. There's no way he's 90 years old and looks like he's 50.
Still snapping people's arms and shoving them into their necks.
Yeah, and it's like, I thought that it was competently made. And I don't mean that, like damning with faint praise. I thought, okay, the production values on this one are good. It didn't look as, like plastic and clean as the last two did. The 3D one or the whichever one. I really think that it was just, you don't bring Sally Hardesty back to kill her with a chainsaw.
Right.
And so I sat there and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Come on.
That's the twist.
Well,
we killed our strong female character archetype. We're a twist.
You bring her back to reboot the franchise or requelize the franchise, as they put in Scream, to have a protagonist that he can go up against. Every single one of these movies, to me, after the first two, I'm accepting the remake that I actually really like. I'm accepting that, but every one of these has a different, there's no sort of mythology with the protagonist. It's always the antagonist that has the mythology that changes every movie. This one, he didn't go live in an orphanage. He did, it's dull and kind of pointless. And while I liked some of the actors, they missed the mark on so many things. Like the kills were Michael Myers level, and he was never Michael Myers. He didn't pick up a chainsaw until halfway through the movie, and then it's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I did like, after the cringe of the try anything and you're canceled, bro, the bus kills were good. That's how I know I would survive this movie, because you would never catch me on a party bus for any reason whatsoever. But that it was invented. There were some inventive kills, but a lot of them were Michael Myers kills or Jason kills. I was 100% waiting for him to talk, because they just seemed like they didn't care about the first movie.
Mhm.
All they wanted to do was like, oh, let's bring Sally back and forget all the rest of it. Best parts were the introduction where John Larroquette is narrating and a couple of the actors. Worst parts, everything else except the kills.
Yeah, I like I said, I really hated this, and I think part of the problem that people have is we have a culture that's completely misunderstood Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Like they don't treat it like a great movie. Everybody thinks that movie succeeded based off of gore, and no, it succeeded because it implied more. It was so thoughtful. It was just filled with ideas, and the terror came from you filling in, the rest of it, and you filling in the pieces that aren't there. And whether it was intentional on Tobe Hooper's part or not, I don't care. I read so much of that movie, and it's so rich with ideas and implications, and takes those things seriously. And everybody comes out of that going, well, it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It must just be about chainsaws, right? It's just chainsawing guts. That's what it's about. And no, you're missing the point. This one seems to kind of understand that there was an element of intentional, I don't want to call it satire, but certainly like just a presentation of ideas via the horror genre. And this one has that to it, but it doesn't have any good jokes to tell. Like the cancel culture thing was lame. It was cringy. The liberal utopia in Texas stuff, all the backwoods Texas stuff was just boilerplate shit everybody else has already done. Like it doesn't offer any modern commentary. There's plenty of stuff you could do to reflect things that are happening today, like Black Lives Matter, or the things that are popular, important movements today that you can reflect and use the horror genre to talk about. And this movie doesn't do that. It doesn't even come close to that. It doesn't have any ideas of its own. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a movie about ideas as much as it is about, a serial killer family in the backwoods.
Well, this whole series after part 2 really suffers for not having Tobe Hooper involved in it. The original one was, he was sick of hippies, so he decided to kill a bunch of them off. 10 years later, he's like, I'm sick of yuppies. Let's kill some yuppies off. Hence the beginning kill in that movie. And then part 3 was like, let's focus on Leatherface and let's get him completely wrong. And same with, all the other ones are just, we're going to do a direct sequel. Well, you know what? Do a direct sequel that makes sense with the original one. Not, introducing 15 members of his family that were never even thought of in the first one, just to get, some redneck people in there, make it scary. I think that this movie wanted to be a direct sequel in the same vein as the original, but it wasn't. It used that idea of, oh, we don't like influencers, let's kill them off, which I fully support. But
that could be a joke, but you got to do it better than this, though.
Yeah, and you have a few influencers, and then you don't have to do this stupid party bus thing. You're canceled. That just took me out of it completely. I saw that in the trailer, and I was like, oh, this is gonna suck.
Right. Well, and he's not Freddy Krueger. He doesn't need to be a comedy. It doesn't need to be a comedy. Right. That you can do the influencer thing. Just take it seriously and try to be original. Instead, you get. It's back to that Gremlins 2 thing where you just feel like it's a studio head saying, "Let's do this. Let's do that. What about this line? It'll be hilarious." And that's not what I want. You're right. It is probably the weakest franchise. And again, it's probably Halloween and Friday the 13th's fault. This movie was so much before them, a solid 5 years before Halloween, and even longer for Friday the 13th. And those had success, so why not bring this one out? And if I'm mistaken, like Tobe Hooper wanted to do something else, and they made him do it. So he made a comedy kind of as a middle finger to the studio, which is part of why I love it so much. Maybe I'm wrong. You might know better than me, but.
Well, this movie was part of the 70s grindhouse horror group that did almost everything right. You get the same year that this came out, Black Christmas came out, which we all know
Right.
that's my favorite movie of all time. It's stuff like that that really endures because they had ideas and they just wanted to be scary. They didn't, the ideas were not overt. Same with like Night of the Living Dead. That kind of thing where there's a theme, but some people are going to take that theme away from it. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Yuppie or hippie, dirty hippies. The Night of the Living Dead was society, how society holds up, things like that. Whereas nowadays it's just like, ooh, let's be really overt and we want to kill influencers and make it super obvious and super, dumb.
Right.
There could have been, 5 or 6 influencers and it could have been a stalker slasher movie and it would have been more fun. It wouldn't have had you get the exposition out at the beginning for the people who haven't seen the original or haven't seen it in a long time. Great. Cool. You get that all out of the way. And then you have Sally Hardesty showing up at places where there have been murders that could possibly be related. And it's her and him. And then she finds out that this town's happening and she goes over to this town because, it's, not too far from where I was attacked. And how does she not know where she was attacked? It's like,
Right.
It was right near her family home. It just was, it's so dumb.
I have an idea though that I think that could have worked in terms of using the backstory that they're using here. The idea that there could be somebody who is like, who takes the thorn out of Leatherface's paw and like actually turns him into not a human being, but treats him with a kindness that keeps him from killing people until somebody comes along and does something to her. And then you have this almost sympathetic figure who is, this lost child who now has lost the only person in the world who seemed to take care of him. And that even plays off of the themes of the original without, because in the original, the mother is what's missing from that family. Like having that female presence is what's missing and created this sort of feral group of monsters, is the fact that they don't have a feminine presence in the home. Here you have him now with this mother figure who has kind of, taken away his, killer instinct and replaced it with one where he's cared for. You take that out of the equation again with her, losing her life in the way she does and sending him back onto this path of wanting to kill people who killed his mom. You've created then a dynamic that is resonant and makes sense. And I think there was an idea.
Friday the 13th.
Kind of, I guess, but it's a much better idea than this one actually goes with in the end. I think they had that idea initially, but again, then you put it in that perspective, it's kind of just another lazy element of this where they're just lifting from other movies constantly to try and, make Leatherface into Jason, Leatherface into Michael Myers, into Freddy Krueger.
Instead, make him an 80-year-old man and try to make it believable. Maybe he only kills one guy, but it's so fucked up that I don't know, just and maybe he's just sitting there playing dominoes, drinking coffee, really not even in the movie. I don't know, just.
Well, this movie, it feels like it wants to be taken seriously as like how everybody sucked the dick of Halloween 2018, where it's so, and I'm like, come on, it's just another timeline that we're going with. But they wanted to do that with this, and instead they were like, well, okay, he was 30 or 40 in the original. It's 50 years later. Is he 80 or 90? No, I guess we have to make him 50. It's like, does he not age? What's the deal? It sounds like it was like all these ideas, and then the movie was made by committee.
Right. And it just it wasn't supernatural, but it felt too supernatural for me because of the things that I brought to it, that it wasn't for me. But,
I mean, yeah, the constant thing of his abilities changing, like, again, I'll go back to that scene you're talking about where he snaps a guy's arm and uses it to stab him in his throat. But later on, he can't, fight a little girl who's fighting him off. Like, does he have super strength or not? Because it would take super strength to snap somebody's arm and shove it into their throat. So he's got super strength. No, he doesn't, because later on, people are fighting him off. Make up your mind which power he has and which one he doesn't.
And this like the older Hellraiser movies, the ones that came later, a lot of those movies were scripts that were out there, and they were like, how can we shoehorn the Cenobites into it? And that's what this feels like. This feels like a slasher movie that they thought, oh, you know what? There's the idea of something here. What if we took Leatherface and we made it a Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And that was like 2016 that they were thinking about that. And then Halloween 2018 comes out and they're like, oh my God, we got to get Sally Hardesty back. 50 years later, oh wait, no, okay. So if this was in real time, you know, it's just like, come on, make this 20 years ago. Make it 20 years later. You can cast a younger actress as Sally. You can cast a younger actor for Leatherface. You can make it make sense, but this doesn't make it make sense.
Right. And I don't like the new Halloweens, but at least they took it seriously.
Yeah.
You know, this
Evil dies tonight, Bob. Evil dies tonight.
Never mind.
So what they're saying is that Judy Greer is evil because she died tonight.
Spoiler alert. Hopefully, I mean, this has pretty much been panned universally, right? Or is there several horror fans that like this?
I have friends who enjoyed it. I have seen a couple posts on Facebook were like, oh my God, this is the best thing since the original. And I'm like, you need to get out more. And, you know, there's the one guy who just sucks every movie's dick no matter what. Oh, it's a journey of self-reflection for Leatherface. And I'm like, oh my God, stop. Just stop. But everybody else is like, you know what? I went into this with terrible expectations and it wasn't so bad. You know, like I said, I went into it after reading a few comments that I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. And there were parts that I was pleasantly surprised about. The kills, the cinematography was good for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it didn't make a lot of sense. And there was definitely some real like filler scenes. Like she's hiding under the bed and he's trying to get his chainsaw and it takes 25 minutes of the movie for him to bust through this wall. I'm exaggerating, but
yeah,
to get his chainsaw, and the chainsaw is a newer model. So why was it in a wall? I don't know. Why am I asking these questions of this movie?
Yeah, they didn't care about that. They didn't care.
They spent way more. They cared way more about this poster than they did the movie.
Yeah. And
I like the one where he's the picture of him. He's standing above the sunflowers. Peekaboo, it's me, Leatherface. Peekaboo.
And then there's a meme of that going around where there's a guy going, Leatherface is taking a poop. Leatherface is in there taking a poop. My favorite meme of it is he's holding up the face before he puts it on. The proper way to eat a fruit roll up. But this poster reminds me of one thing that was dumb, and it was like a missed opportunity. That when he killed the blonde girl, whose name I don't remember, and it doesn't matter that I don't remember, in the truck, when he slowly slices her open, and then he starts feeling her hair. I was like, oh, he's gonna take her hair off and wear the hair on top of that, and then next he's just wearing his greasy hair. And I'm like, that was one of those little nitpicky things for me that just, you've got a great opportunity.
Yeah.
What if her boyfriend, the guy who was running this whole thing, saw her hair, like she had a streak or something in it, and he recognized that's what it was from, and he realized she was dead before he got his face chewed off. You know, it was like little things that you could do to elevate this horror movie. They didn't do.
Yes,
they thought, oh, we'll just slap Texas Chainsaw Massacre on it. And,
yeah, this is IP. This is a famous intellectual property that people can continuously use as a piggy bank, and Netflix is using this as a piggy bank, and we deserve better than this. Don't watch this. Don't spend time on this. Don't let Netflix make records out of this going, this many people watch this. Show them that you don't like this and don't pay attention to it. Just don't look, in the Simpsons parlance.
But to Jeff's point, if say there was a script in like 2016 that this was going to be, if they had probably made that movie, maybe it's good, but they tried to throw Texas Chainsaw on here. Then they just keep bastardizing it over and over again. And next thing you know, it's not the script that they intended. And that's what sucks, because you could have, and maybe it just doesn't matter anymore, but if you had a great horror movie that took itself seriously, people still tend to like those, even if they're polarizing.
This would have been a great House of Wax remake or sequel. That movie was not great, but it was better than anybody really expected it to be, with Paris Hilton in it.
The environment is perfect for that. That town is kind of perfect for that setup.
Yeah, this could have been a reboot of that franchise instead, if you're going to put it. But it also could have been just these influencers are going to go take over a town, and there's a guy who doesn't want them to, and starts picking them off one by one.
Yeah.
You could get rid of the people on the bus. You could just have them blow the bus up while they're all partying on it, and then you've got your core like 6 or 7 people, and it could be a little scary movie. But instead, let's see what Leatherface is going to do now, and that's all it was. That last shot where he, spoiler alert, cuts her head off. She's been through all this, and her sister, who is a school shooting survivor, is traumatized enough. And that's just like, why are we doing that to her?
Like, because this is, again, the part of this that I keep trying to avoid is the right wing sort of commentary that kind of runs through here. This sort of red state kind of humor that it's just about presenting something like, well, she's a school shooting survivor, and her lesson is going to be that guns are good for you. You should have a gun, because if you have a gun, you can survive situations like this. And they've got a scene where she picks up a big gun and she caresses it and holds it, and then she drops it because she's scared of it. It's just, but her lesson is then she has to learn to use the gun, and then by the end of the movie, she uses the gun,
and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So she has to get Sally's gun, because that works, because Sally's a badass like Laurie Strode.
God. But it's a twist, because we're going to kill her, because we don't believe in strong female characters.
We do. They're just in other movies.
Well, that's the right wing. That's, again, the back to the right wing thing, though. Like, they're constantly critiquing the idea of strong female characters. Well, here's that strong female character, and how about we put a chainsaw in her gut? Because we're clever.
Even if that's what your goal was, at least take it seriously and make me uncomfortable that way, because you made a good movie and I have to listen to your ideas in an area. Instead you just made a shitty comedy, more or less, with somewhat cool kills, I suppose. And that's, I don't know. I just have no use for this at all. Yep. And it did make me watch the original, though. So showed it to my kids.
This is true.
My daughter is 14 now. She's getting close to the age where she's ready for it. My son, I don't know. Jeff, are you familiar with the band Ice Nine Kills?
With who? Ice
Nine Kills. They're a horror parody band, kind of.
I have heard of them, but I wouldn't be able to tell you anything.
Right. They're kind of a weird, like a metal band that kind of works. They have the show tune vibe to their sound, and all their songs are about horror movies. And their Texas Chainsaw Massacre song, that, when the pictures pop up at the beginning, that noise it makes.
Yeah.
That's how the song starts, and I didn't even notice it. And he was like all excited, and we got half an hour in, and they were too scared to continue, and nothing had even happened yet. That's how good the movie is.
That's how good that is.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Anything else on this piece of shit before we move on?
Nope.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Don't waste your time.
John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness is our undisputed classic this week.
Prince of Darkness, 1987, self-funded by John Carpenter, is an independent film, and tells the story of a priest who discovers something in the basement of his church, this glowing, spinning thing made of light. It's like a giant lava lamp. And he invites this he invites this professor of physics and his students to come in and take a look at this and see if they can figure out what it is. And what it is the essentially the body of the anti-god in liquid form, and looking to try and find a way into our universe. It's a combination of both physics and religion, and a critique of largely a critique of religion in many ways. And it's just it's a good idea if it's entirely exactly brought about the best possible way it could. Not necessarily. I think this movie is okay. It's got an interesting idea. It's got interesting characters. The notion is there, but it doesn't quite pull it off. In the end, I think what happens in the final act, it just sort of turns into a lot of people in hallways running from each other. And like early on, there was a movie about ideas and conversations between Victor Wong and Donald Pleasance. Donald Pleasance is great in this movie. I love Donald Pleasance. He's such a good actor, and he really just invests him in every part that he's in, regardless of how ridiculous it might seem. And he's certainly deeply invested here. And I like the dynamic between him and Victor Wong. I thought their scenes were really interesting. But when it becomes a movie where it's just people running from each other in hallways, I kind of lost interest. And by the end, I wasn't all that in. That said, I liked a lot of the production design. I like the design on the woman who gets possessed by the goo is really like gross and disgusting. And I liked her getting her head cut off and picking it up off the ground and putting it back on. It was great. So there's elements of this that are really good. In that classically John Carpenter sort of way, but it didn't quite sell me completely.
Yeah, we talked about it in 2017 when it turned 30. I didn't love it. I liked it more this time, though. But at the same time, I mean, John Carpenter is considered a legend, and this isn't one we talk about very much. So I suppose there's a reason for it. But I liked the ideas, and the second time through, I liked it more. And it was kind of cool to see the old, the John Carpenter regulars, all together in a movie again. So it was kind of neat.
We made this the classic because I wanted to hear Jeff talk about it, because I've never heard Jeff talk about this movie. And Jeff, your background is in horror movies, so I thought this would be a good one for you to talk about.
I think that this is one of the ones where his production design usually outshines his budget, and I think this one looks like it has a much bigger budget than he did. He had. Donald Pleasance is great as always. I mean, you can tell he wants to act. And sometimes, a lot of times people my age or a little younger, they just know him as Dr. Loomis. And he plays down that side of himself in this movie to the point where you get more invested in him as the priest as opposed to, oh my God, it's Donald Pleasance. The effects, Alice Cooper being in this movie as one of the homeless people that, get rounded up. John Carpenter showed that he can do kind of any sort of horror movie. The Fog, Halloween, obviously. He can really... He's got more interest than just stalkers and slashers and things like that. And this was a really good idea. It doesn't kind of stick the landing the way I think a lot of his movies have previously and since. This one is more of it's kind of a horror version of My Dinner with Andre between James Wong and the priest. A lot of, that's the best part of it is they're kind of talking about evil and, is God real? Is science real? Maybe it's a combination. That kind of, that existential talk is really my favorite part of this.
Yeah.
This was not one I didn't watch this constantly like I did Halloween or The Fog. but I having revisited it a couple times in the last few years, I'm more struck by the visuals of it than the execution when it's all said and done. I love the character whose outsides are on her her insides are on her outside, but her hair is perfect. Growing up, I always thought it was Linnea Quigley, but no, it's not. Because she looks like she's got that kind of Valley Girl hair, and,
right. The romance is so bland, and a big problem is this Jameson Parker guy who I mean, what college is this that you're like at 45 years old, you're going back to college to learn physics? Like, which college? Who's doing this? His presence raises so many more questions about the college and himself than anything in the movie, and it's just like. And I think a lot of the students kind of look like maybe these people are probably not college students. These are, I don't know why they're taking a physics class in their 40s, but
even the flirting and whatever, it was just very like, kind of like, people talk like that at some point. Just very, I mean, not to be, like Leatherface to come and kill me or anything, but it's just kind of borderline offensive. I don't want to get too woke, but.
Right.
Well, I fully planned on rewatching this, but I have the special edition Blu-ray, and it's somewhere in storage. And to be perfectly frank, I couldn't dig through boxes to look for this one movie, but I watched it last year, so I remembered enough of it. But I completely forgot about Jameson Parker. That's how little presence he has when he's not on Simon and Simon. I mean,
that's what he's from. I mean, I always gave Josh shit for, really loving movies that weren't incomplete, just liking parts of it and, loving the potential of it more than the movie itself. But in this one, I like the potential. I like the visuals, and I like it enough to say it's good, but it's not The Thing. It's not Halloween. It's not They Live, The Fog. It's definitely lesser, but
I feel like a tighter one quick tight rewrite would have really kind of made it gel a little more. There are parts of it that are really hard to follow.
Right.
If you're not glued to the screen 100%, and say you go to the bathroom or check your phone or something, it's easy to get lost in this one because there are so many different things happening to different disparate characters that. Oh yeah. Oh wait. Wait. Why is what's going on?
Right.
And they didn't know where they were going. If they knew how to end it, that would have helped. Too.
And also, I mean, I think there are a lot of people who watched this movie and said it's about the devil, and it's not. Like even though the title is Prince of Darkness, they never say the devil. They kind of passingly reference that this character, that this anti-god is related to the devil, or is a form of what they based the devil on, but it's not the devil, it's the anti-god, which I actually like that name a lot better.
Right.
That's my drag name.
Good name. Anything else on Prince of Darkness before we move on?
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. If you have stars, it's on there.
Well, yeah, especially if you're like a Carpenter completist, I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, but this and In the Mouth of Madness are ones that I never everybody talks about them, but they're the ones I never see on a regular basis like I do The Fog. Fog is probably my favorite Carpenter movie.
I feel like I want to watch In the Mouth of Madness, but I don't know if I ever will.
Oh, it's decent. It's got some good themes in it. It's just not my, and Sam Neill is not so in it, but it's not The Fog, where to me The Fog is his best movie, and that has a lot to do with just the cast and how he in that movie he really tightened up the intercut of the stories. He had Deborah Hill too, which he didn't have on this movie, And Deborah Hill was kind of the best part of the John Carpenter Deborah Hill production company, and I would get a lot of shit for saying that, but she really, she wrote all the dialogue for the girls in Halloween. She knew how to write people, and if something sounded off, she would say, hey, no, that should be this, and it worked. He didn't have her for this one that I'm aware of. I think it was because they had, kind of drifted apart, but it's very telling in like the relationship storyline. You can really tell that that's lacking.
Very much so.
Well, while you're here, I'm curious, how would you rank them? You got The Fog number 1. What do you got number 2? Just get like a top 5. I'm just curious.
The Fog would be number 1, and not just, Halloween number 2, unless it's the month of October, then that's number 1. Just because I watch it a few times. Put me on the
Where's the
spotlight.
Thing? Where's The Thing at?
The Thing for me would be number 3, and only because I didn't get it for so many years. It took me a long time to really get I'd never seen the original Thing. I knew it was a thing because of Halloween, but it was one of those ones where I would only pick it a little of it up at Halloween when it was on TV, or it's on HBO and it was half over. I'll watch the end of it, but I didn't get what. And I always watch it whenever we have a snowstorm or the dead of winter, which I didn't watch it for a year when I was in LA because I didn't think about it. But that and The Shining, I always watch whenever we have a big snowstorm. Well, I watched that this year. I watched the thing again this year, and it was like I made a point to not be on my phone or my iPad or doing any artwork or anything like that, and just watch it. And it was so paranoid, and everybody in that movie is like pitch perfect with their paranoia. They're, well, I'm not, it's not me. It can't be me. How could it be me? And when it's clearly you. The blood experiment, that I would say if you ask me like in a year, that might move up to number 2. The Fog is always going to be my favorite. And I think after those 3, it's kind of a toss up because I was never,
Right.
This could be up there sometimes. In the Mouth of Madness could be up there sometimes. Starman, I've never seen, so I don't know. Because it's a romance. Oh, I don't care. Karen Allen and Jeff Bridges didn't care when I was 15 years old. However old I was when it came out. Those 3 are always going to be like my favorite Carpenter ones, and then I guess it depends on my mood, really.
Yeah.
Definitely not Body Bags. I could count, even though he didn't direct it, Halloween 2.
Right.
So when Michael and Laurie were still brother and sister, they wrote it, produced it. Parts of that I really love. So that could, that I would say just because it's a continuation of the story that we knew at the time, that would probably be number 4. Even though technically he didn't write it, he still, it was his movie, just shot by Richard Rubenstein. I think, I could be wrong. I just had a brain fart, so. But it's Assault on Precinct 13. That, I liked that movie. I didn't see that for years, but I was like, oh, okay, I get what that was kind of, to me, what spawned Escape from New York and that kind of thing, and which I never cared about that movie. Big Trouble in Little China, I didn't watch that until I was in my early 40s.
I want to like it so bad, and it's like my brother's favorite movie, and I try, and like if it was just Kurt Russell in the truck arm wrestling people, I might be into it.
Over the top too.
Right.
John Carpenter's over the top.
But I get bored and I like They Live a lot. But it's not really a horror movie.
Oh my God, that's easily number 4 for me, 3 or 4 depending. But I forget about it because I forget that it's a John Carpenter movie because it's so unlike his stuff.
If it was Kurt Russell instead of Roddy Piper, maybe it'd be.
Yeah. We went when I lived in LA. My friend Demetrius and I would just drive around to look at movie locations. I saw several of the Friday the 13th filming locations, the Golden Girls set, The Office, and I lived really close to the Nightmare on Elm Street house. So I would show him that. We'd look at the Halloween houses. We went to South Pasadena and looked at all those. And I was always like, I want to go downtown and see if I can. And then one day I'm just walking downtown. I went to get ice cream downtown. And I'm walking and I look up and there's the wall where the Obey sign was.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wait, that's the fucking, holy shit. And then I had to go home and watch it, immediately. And then I had to go back downtown and see some of the other locations. I found the alley where they did the fist fight, which was perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know the story behind that?
All I know is he was a big wrestling fan, so he kind of let Roddy Piper do it. But...
Well, Roddy Piper and Keith David, they said, okay, you can cut this down, but we want to do the whole fight scene in one take. And we want you just to film it. So he did, and it was going to be literally like a minute long, and it's like 11 minutes or something like that, just fighting. And he liked it so much, and they were, he could tell they were so into it that he just kept the whole thing in the movie. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Halloween would struggle to get in my top 5, if at all. I don't think it probably would even be in my top 5. That's what
I'm a slasher fan, so
yeah.
The Fog is still.
We need it. We have never done The Fog on the show, so we'll have to bring that sometime, maybe October or something, or maybe even better.
You should do it as close to April 21st as you possibly can, because that's the day. That's Antonio Bay. That's the town that it takes place in. That's the year that's the day they have their celebration of the town's birthday. So.
Oh, nice.
That's when I watch it every year.
All right.
Fog mid-April.
And I will totally come back and suck that movie's dick for an hour.
Love for that. No, seriously, it's always fun to talk horror movies, and I actually haven't even seen it, so that would be a fun reason to.
Oh.
I'm a poser. What can I say? Let's see here. That is our show. 1992. Unless anybody wants to talk about these movies. Falling from Grace, Radio Flyer, This Is My Life, or The Best of the Bunch. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Movie I defended for years without ever actually watching it because I was a Stallone fan.
Yeah,
I'm an Estelle Getty fan, so.
I only love the story that Schwarzenegger pretended to be interested in it just to get Stallone to do it. It's just the best origin story for a terrible movie ever.
Are you sure he pretended? Because he made some bad choices too.
Well,
that's his story. His story is that he pretended to be interested in that piece of crap just to get Stallone to do it.
Was Jackie Stallone supposed to play his mom?
I don't remember ever hearing that.
I can't imagine her not being super pissed that he didn't ask her to do it.
Estelle Getty was so hot at the time because of Golden Girls and Emmy Awards that she was she was not as big a star as him, but certainly as big a get at the time.
Oh yeah.
Next week we've got Cyrano. Cyrano, Studio 666 from the Foo Fighters. How that's going to theaters, I don't know. What else is there, Sean? You sent me a list. I didn't write it down.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for taking that seriously. Desperate Hours starring Naomi Watts is coming out next week as well. And Also, a documentary called Dunk or Die, which is about the world's greatest slam dunk artist, who is French Algerian and
Fascinating.
doesn't speak English. So we think we own the slam dunk, but we don't. And then Moon Manor, which I don't know what that's about, but they sent it to me, so I'm going to watch it.
We don't have a classic yet. 1992, The Mambo Kings: Memoirs of an Invisible Man in Furniture for Poor. Let's see. Let's get Flipchart real quick, and then we can let everybody go home, unless you guys don't have time.
Let me go home. That's where I'm at.
Let's see here. If it's over the top, I quit. All right, The Pink Panther 2006 or Multiplicity.
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity. I don't think I remember The Pink Panther.
I like Multiplicity better.
It was awful. It was awful.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail Deconstructing Harry.
Monty Python.
Monty Python.
Agreed. Night and Day. Bridget
Never saw it.
Jones, The Edge of Reason.
I really like Night and Day, and I didn't love Edge of Reason, so I'm actually going to pick Night and Day.
I haven't seen Night and Day.
Me neither.
Do you
I
like
haven't
Edge
seen
of
either one of
Reason?
them, so
All right, we'll just Night and Day, move on. 28 Days Later, Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
28 Days Later. I get Raging Bull. I get that it's supposed to be, it's wonderful, but I will watch 28 Days Later again before I will watch Raging Bull.
No, I get it. I like 20 Days Later. I'm still going Raging Bull. All the President's Men, Seabiscuit.
All the President's Men.
I'm going to pick the sequel to The Post, All the President's Men.
Dude. Just Married, King Kong, 2005.
King Kong. Yeah, I guess. They're both not great.
Ooh, Old Boy, A Fistful of Dollars.
Old Boy.
Yeah, because I don't like what Clint Eastwood has become. I'm going to go Old Boy. Yeah, I'm talking about his movie career, not his dumb politics.
Talking to chairs.
Sex in car crashes, crash, not racism crash.
I'm going to pick
Rain Man.
I'm going to pick the good crash.
Yes, same. Fuck Rain Man. Every week I get to say fuck Dustin Hoffman. It's a good week.
I haven't seen either of these, so it's up to you guys.
I'm just gonna reset it.
Yeah, let's forget
I don't really care what Sean's opinion of those two movies is.
I think we know it.
Chronicles, Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Same.
Agreed. Big Mama's House, Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas.
I worked at a theater when Big Mama's House came out, and I had to watch that fucking movie every night for a month because they would not die. It was always our busiest movie, and I hate it. And Leaving Las Vegas makes me want to kill myself, but I would rather watch that.
Yeah.
Superman 4. Quest for Money in the Ninth Gate.
The Ninth Gate.
Ninth Gate.
Finding Dory, A Scanner Darkly.
Finding Dory.
Yeah, I would say that.
Agreed. Transformers, Dark of the Moon, or White Knights.
I've not seen White Knights.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Transformers, Addams Family.
Addams Family. There's few things I wouldn't pick over Transformers.
Raising Helen, Black Hawk Down.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, I didn't see Raising Helen because I was on a very anti Kate Hudson kick at that point.
What caused that?
Just she was like that period of time. She was the Zooey Deschanel, who I still hate to this day. She was that to me before the New Girl came out. And then I was like, okay, she's not so bad. Now we hate Zooey Deschanel. I irrationally just hate actors for no reason whatsoever sometimes. So.
Oh no, we all do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Another movie I defended, Judge Dredd or Ghost.
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 I agree.
You in danger, girl.
Knowing United 93.
I'm going to go with the popular popcorn film United 93.
The feel good movie of the year.
Feel good movie.
United 93.
Yeah. Hot Shots Part 2, Alien versus Predator.
Hot Shots all the way.
Fishing with Gandhi.
Awesome. Nightcrawler, The Dead Don't Die. Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
It's like, what is that? And then it just clicked. The Producers, The Kingdom.
The Kingdom's not bad, but the producer.
Yeah, producers.
What the fuck? Transformers.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Bicentennial Man. Sean, this is all you.
My option to also just rip out my eyeballs rather than watch either of them, because that seems like a better option than watching either of those fucking movies.
Yep.
Well, you either do it right here on the podcast or you pick one.
Transformers.
House of Wax.
Aha!
Here
They
we
were
go.
listening.
They were listening. House of Wax.
House of Wax. Yeah, I hate the cider house rules. I hate it.
Hannah, where Eagles Dare.
That scene where Eagles Dare.
Yeah, neither have I.
Hannah, Once Upon a Time in the West.
Man. I really love Hannah.
Yeah, I'm going with Hannah.
Yeah, I'm gonna too as well. And it's just I would rather watch that because I know Once Upon a Time in the West is objectively great. It's just really long.
I'll go with Once Upon a Time in the West just to throw a vote its way. I really love that movie. War for the Planet of the Apes, or As Good as It Gets.
Yeah, two very different movies, but both of which I really, really enjoyed. I'm gonna go War for the Planet of the Apes.
I am too. I unabashedly love all of those movies.
So
I think
good.
they were really, really wonderfully done.
And they really shouldn't have been. Like, it really should have been. They really shouldn't have been very good, but they really put a lot of effort into them.
Andy Serkis should have been nominated for an Academy Award for acting for any one of those movies.
Absolutely.
I'll go As Good as It Gets.
Ooh, Bob the Contrarian.
I mean, I just like that movie.
I don't know what Red Bat is.
Neither.
Children of the Corn, Where the Wild Things Are.
Where the Wild Things Are.
Children of the Corn. Fuck you, Sean.
Where the Wild Things Are.
You a hater of bad movies.
Thank you, Bob.
Why? Yeah, I went the other way. I forgot what it was already. So you like Children of the Corn, is it? Or just like fun bad kind of? I'm just curious.
That movie is objectively not a good movie, but it's fun. Malachi! You know, that watching Linda Hamilton be crucified on a cross made of corn cobs is fun. I really the ending of the book, she gets killed, and I really wish they had just done that, but you know, that was Hollywood 1984. You can't do anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I guess maybe I was too young to see the fun in it. I just wanted to be super scary, and I was like, this is just silly. Ghost, 3 lives and only 1 death.
Never heard of the last one there.
That's a French movie I've never seen.
Ghost or Barking Dogs Never Bite.
Never heard of it. We've run out of movies.
Ghost.
Oh, Ghost.
Max Payne.
Ghost.
Tangled, Dead Poet Society.
Honestly, that's tough. Those are good movies, both of them. I like both those movies.
I'm saying Tangled.
I was saying Dead Poets.
That's why I said Tangled.
I'm gonna go Dead Poets. Really?
That's not a movie.
The only good thing about the Police Academy movies are the artwork by Drew Struzan. Oh, hackers! They are listening to the show.
Yeah, the gray are hackers. This is scary.
They saw my beard and they went with the gray, and then they heard us say hackers. I'm gonna pick the gray just because hackers was bad.
Yeah, take the gray just because I want to see Liam Neeson punching a wolf.
I want to see Liam Neeson punching just in general.
I want to see if I could take a Liam Neeson punch.
Call back.
Silence or sneakers?
I didn't see either one of them, so up to you guys.
Silence is better, but it's 4 hours long.
So long. It's so fucking long. Just give me sneakers and just let me be. It's so long.
I'll sit through the Baby Boomer watchable movie. The Net or Capote?
Capote.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
know. Yeah, no, that's fine. I was gonna pick Capote, although I could watch The Net.
Yeah. Bewitched or A Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange. What did I just say? Clockwork Orange, not orange.
What is your? We did that a couple weeks ago. Are you a big Clockwork fan, or not really, or here or there?
I liked it. It's not one I think I've seen it twice. I own it. I got it as part of the Stanley Kubrick 3-pack Blu-ray thing, and I haven't watched it since I got it 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. It's like, okay, I've seen it. I get the whole ultra violence thing, but
Right.
It's one of those movies where you don't have to watch again.
Right. It's fun to talk about, I guess, but yeah, I don't need to watch it. The Hills Have Eyes, 1977, or Inglourious Bastards?
Inglourious Bastards.
The Hills Have Eyes.
It's Inglourious Bastards for me, but I do like The Hills Have Eyes, and I'm always afraid to say that on the show because Josh and Sean are always so against it.
It's an early Wes Craven movie that it has a lot of the seeds for stuff that comes later, so it's perfectly valid feeling, Bob.
What is your thought on the remake?
I rented it and I kind of watched it. It didn't really hold my interest.
Right.
There was no Harry Mann. Yeah, there's no Dee Wallace in it. So.
And I'm not a big fan of him as a director either.
No, he's fine on some things, but
he's mostly terrible.
Well, did you like High Tension or not? I hated that movie.
The first time I saw it, I loved it. I got it for $5 at Best Buy on Blu-ray, and I watched it again. I was like, oh, it's a twist that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then I'm like, I'll watch it again later. And I watched it again like a year later. And I'm like, it doesn't hold up at all.
Yeah, I was loving it.
It's a great idea.
Right. I was loving it until they went to the twist. I'm like, they cheated. Yeah. This isn't fair.
Yeah. They didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. Sorry, you just reminded me of Annie Wilkes in Misery. They cheated.
Zero Effect, You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail.
I didn't see either one of them. So pick whatever you want.
I've never seen Born Rich. Never.
Sounds like a real fun movie to watch. Money Talks or Predators?
Predators,
absolutely.
That was a great movie.
Clue, Sideways.
Clue.
Sideways.
Sorry.
For me. It's all right.
I'm not Clue. A
snob.
Oblivion or Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Oblivion, because it's far less racist.
Yes, just exactly what I can't watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. I read the book last year, and it's so not as racist. Like that was really a choice that they made, that
Yeah.
Mickey Rooney made.
To all white cast, My Fair Lady and Awakenings.
Awakenings.
I think I'm gonna pick My Fair Lady.
I don't
Just
even
so I could
know.
use a Cockney accent, a really bad Cockney accent.
Awakenings I saw last, so I'm still kind of fresh with that one. While You Were Sleeping, Midnight Run.
Midnight Run. If you want to know something weird, that we've had a couple of Sandra Bullock movies now, and I'm working on an article about Sandra Bullock as we speak. So that's again another creepy internet thing.
They know. I'll say Midnight Run too. I like Sandra Bullock so much that I would probably watch While You Were Sleeping again, but it falls apart.
Yeah, I agree. Blazing Saddles or Brother Bear?
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing fucking Saddles.
Sure. Jeez. I feel like we probably could have quit a long time ago. Had way better endings. Let's see. Let's look for something fun. Yeah, that's lame. Four
There we
Weddings and
go.
a Funeral or Mean Girls?
E-Girls.
Mean Girls.
Yeah. All
My
right,
people.
Yeah, I don't care about Hunger Games and Star Trek. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. Definitely looking forward to having you back. We'll try to do something in mid-April with the fog if you're available. I'd love to do that. If you're up for it.
Like I said, I will come on and suck that movie's dick for an hour, because as long as we don't talk about the remake,
We won't.
or we could talk about the remake. We just can't talk nice about the remake.
Well, I haven't seen that either, so.
Don't bother, really.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks a
All
lot.
right.